Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back your lovely faces to a brand new video here on the channel, and today we have part 2. So, this came out on the 20th of July, so this came out on Thursday. Obviously it is Saturday today where this video is going out for you lovely people. But yeah, there's a lot's happened, and I mean a lot has happened. Dan Wootton was a serial bully at The Sun, but bosses promoted him as complaints were silenced. This is not going to go good for Dan Wootton now, because there's so much stuff coming out, and like the video I did yesterday with Lily Allen and everything else, you even got actresses and pop stars and all these people now who Dan Wootton just literally hounded while he was at The Sun and the News of the World. They're all coming out now against him. So, in the second part of its 3-year investigation, Byline Times examines the professional conduct of the TV presenter when he was a leading editor at Rupert Murdoch's powerful British tabloid. Dan Wootton was the subject of at least 6 bullying claims from colleagues while working for The Sun, but was promoted by the newspaper as complaints were silenced with large payoffs and non-disclosure agreements. The allegations against the journalist, remember allegations at the moment? Today, a star presenter for GB News and columnist for the Mail Online range from constructive dismissal to age discrimination, while several witnesses have also described a culture of harassment under Wootton. It follows this newspaper's revelations on Monday that Wootton used the online pseudonyms Martin Branning and Maria Joseph, among others, to trick and bribe scores of men into revealing compromising, explicit material for tax-free sums of money of up to £30,000. Representatives for Wootton have been asked by this newspaper to confirm or deny whether the presenter was or is connected to Branning. Neither Wootton, in his GB News statement on Tuesday, nor his representatives have yet clarified this point. He denies any allegations of criminality. Of course he will. Byline Times has now spoken to multiple former editorial and support staff at Britain's biggest tabloid, many of whom are fearful of being identified after their experiences working at Murdoch-owned News UK, which one left thinking of self-deletion, another suffering stress-induced hair loss, and others deserting the industry. For that reason, we are protecting their identities, although they are known to their former employer, which last night, in response to a request for comment sent by Byline Times, contacted all staff at The Sun, announcing that it was looking into our allegations urgently. Among questions to the publisher, Byline Times asked, "Can you confirm the earliest date of any record held digitally or in analogue format containing the names Martin Branning and Maria Joseph?" News UK declined to respond, but did not deny that all 6 individuals received severance payment contingent on the signing of binding restrictive covenant or non-disclosure agreements. The cost of the legal proceedings and settlements is estimated to be more than £1 million. That, to me, shows that Dan Wootton has done something, because there is no way someone is going to pay £1 million just to 6 people, for all the costs of legal proceedings and everything else, if nothing has happened. So with that there, that literally does show that Dan Wootton is guilty of something. 100,000%. Its internal email to staff, various allegations have emerged online and been reported over the last few days in relation to Dan Wootton, who many of you will know worked for The Sun between 2013 and 2021. The matters reported are obviously very serious and include allegations that certain actions of Mr. Wootton may have affected some members of staff at The Sun. We are looking into these allegations urgently and wish to hear from staff who may have been impacted or have relevant information. £1 million! You are either with him or against him. As part of a 3-year special investigation into Wootton, who's 40, details of which will continue to publish over the coming days and weeks. It's not going away. Byline Times is today examining his professional conduct while employed at The Sun. While News UK last night urged potential complaints to go to The Sun's corporate affairs team if contacted by external media for comment, this newspaper is taking care not to reveal the sexes or job titles of the 6 people, whom it is understood and are not the only ones who feel that they were bullied or harassed by Wootton. In one of the cases, a very senior member of the Sun took a kitchen knife from a meeting with a former editor of the newspaper with the intentions of doing this in front of the executive who had sided with Wootton in a dispute ultimately settled for a 6-figure sum. Just with that one there as well, and the £1 million, this just goes to show that Dan Wootton is guilty of something. I'm 1,000,000% certain now of that. For them to do that, to take a kitchen utensil with them, to, that, yeah. The Sun made the payout at the 11th hour at the steps of an employment tribunal in 2018, at which emails from Wootton disclosed the employee's lawyer would have entered the public record and led to judicial findings of fact. Former staff told Byline Times investigators how Wootton continually tried to make people admit that they were bisexual or gay. He challenged people on their sexual orientation all the time. Wootton, you're nothing but scum. Several sources have spoken of the explicit harassment of male colleagues, while at least 2 female colleagues were reduced to tears daily by his conduct. Naming 3 particular targets of very inappropriate behaviour, they said, he did this to these male colleagues all the time. One would come in and Dan would often comment on the way he looked and goad him, saying, "Are you sure you want to be married? We all know you're gay." He was pressuring them to turn gay and acting like it was a joke, but people, men, women, everyone who heard, were visibly uncomfortable, especially as it was coming from a boss. You're nothing but a sack of shit, Dan Wootton. A different source said you were either with him or against him. If you were against him, he would make your life a misery, and if you were with him, he would treat you as a slave. He'd demand people run errands for him, get him food or drinks, or do his dry cleaning. It was so demeaning, but it amused him. If you wanted to stay in your job, there was no choice but to endure. Byline Times can reveal how another complaint started losing their hair. You see, man, there's so much stuff coming out now about him. They started losing their hair with stress after working closely with Wootton, whose conduct as the Sun's executive editor was characterised as being one who considered himself untouchable. He made you feel helpless. Now, before we do get into this, I do want to say as well that the movie The Gentleman, the Guy Ritchie movie, you had Fletcher, who was played by Hugh Grant, and he worked for a little tabloid, or the biggest tabloid in London, or the biggest tabloid in this smoky little town, as he says. And that was played by, the way he was supposedly moulded on Dan Wootton, which again, when you look at it, is like, there you go, Eddie Marson, he played Big Dave. He played Big Dave. He was supposedly modelled on Dan Wootton and how he was at the Sun. Going on to say regarding that, another News UK staffer was marched from the company's headquarters after being undermined and constructively dismissed for months and months by Wootton before standing up to him with a complaint to the paper's then editor. The staffer said, "It was ridiculously stressful. He was constantly condescending and sarcastic. Diaries of his behaviour were kept, the things he was doing." So with those diaries, maybe that's in the 28-page dossier, you never know. As the boss, he had control over the company payment system. He would sabotage other journalists. He would go into the payment system and find out the names of contacts. Oh, what a slime ball! He would then get in touch with them himself and make them deal with him directly. It was impossible to do your job. The most valuable thing a journalist has are their contacts. They are our stock in trade. It was a classic campaign of constructive dismissal. He knew what he was doing. A different member of staff became thinner and thinner, cried every day as they worked for Wootton, who said they destroyed them physically and mentally. Another editorial worker said there were months and months of real bullying, mind games and heavy emails, often late at night, so bad that they ruined your sleep. Just as News UK started asking questions last night about Wootton's conduct there, bringing in external legal counsel to oversee a human resources investigation, Byline Times can reveal that this is not the first time Wootton's relationship with its HR department has been questioned. In October 2018, Private Eye reported on omissions about Wootton, without naming him, regarding an investigation into the subject of bullying complaints a year earlier, so 2017. The magazine told how a tired and emotional former head of HR, Rachel Martin, who like Wootton is from New Zealand, had told a group of journalists drinking in the pub by News UK Central London HQ that she had tried to protect Wootton during a probe she was overseeing into his conduct. Private Eye reported how the Sun journalists questioned Martin's impartiality, given she was seen enjoying Wootton's hospitality in the office. News UK executive boxed the O2 while her investigation into his behaviours were ongoing. Byline Times has learned that one of the Sun's 6 on legal advice went above Rachel Martin with a complaint in 2018. As a result, News UK was obliged to use HR professionals attached to a sister company, Wireless, to oversee an investigation leading to a large settlement. Martin left the company and went back to New Zealand shortly after. A source of The Sun said, Dan got so many perks and so many access, it was easy for him to integrate himself. He made sure Rachel Martin was like his best friend. This is just insane. And as you can see here, I do apologise, this video is going on a little bit longer, but this is just huge. All of it is now. Demands for another promotion. The list of complaints about Wootton did not stop News UK from promoting him and giving him pay rises and even more prominent positions in the newspaper. He had a decisive falling out with current editor Victoria Newton. In 2020, in February, on her first day in the role, Wootton left her furious by demanding she promote him, prompting a cute move by the news editor, who reached out to Wootton's best remaining royal contact and placed them on a special retainer, ensuring that they dealt exclusively with her. Good. Literally, use what he did against him. Awesome. A source said, this was the beginning of the end for Dan at The Sun. He didn't like having the same move pulled on him that he had done to so many contacts of other people. Less than a year later, he left News UK for GB News. Over the years, Wootton has used his Twitter account, on which he has 518,200 followers, to criticise others accused of bullying, including in January 2020 when he tweeted, as one of Philip Schofield's closest colleagues at ITV for many years, his comments on the bullying reports are also very revealing. I would never negate those allegations because they are valid. If these people are all coming forward, then there's no smoke without fire. Whoa. Mr. Wootton, there's no smoke without fire, and you have been accused of so many things now. He also used his bizarre column in The Sun in October 2017 to take aim at the harassment carried out by fallen Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein. Well, yeah, Harvey Weinstein's just a pig and I'm glad he's in prison. In the first-person article, he condemned a disgusting conspiracy of silence that he claimed had been engineered by some of the most powerful and famous men in Hollywood to protect a beastly individual with a long and well-known track record of the most appalling and potentially illegal treatment of young, innocent, and sometimes naive women. Wootton also used his platforms to regularly discuss the use of NDAs and their legal validity in the private lives of a number of celebrities, including TV personalities Ant McPartlin and Paul Hollywood, despite the Sun's 6 being subjected to them. Byline Times contacted reps for Dan Wootton, but his solicitors declined to comment. This newspaper will, of course, update this article with any comment on the record. Yeah, so Dan Wootton is... It seems to me now, like, as he has said himself, you know, listen and believe, no smoke without fire, all these things, he's done exactly himself. But we've always seen this. These type of people, these narcissists, these horrible, horrible people, they always project out of what they are doing. This is a typical tactic of these type of people. The ones who are horrible to others. It's just nuts that it's still going on. And like I said, there's a part 2 and they still got more to come out. Let me know what you think of this down below, guys. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell for future updates. And I'll see you all soon.